welcome back to Fried Green Avocados. Today we have two new faces on the podcast, Luke and Belle, who are with us to talk about Gen Z dating life. Luke and Belle are Meredith's neighbors, and Meredith is also joining us today, obviously, because what is Fried Green Avocados without Meredith? But they are also siblings who are both in college right now, obviously trying to figure out their futures and figure out their dating lives, which I think we were all doing at the ages of 18 and 20. At this point. So welcome, Luke, Belle, and of course, Meredith. So those of us who are older, we hear a lot about Gen Z and the fact that you are struggling with social connection and dating. And we hear a lot of reasons why. So it's the impact of the pandemic or social media, a growing political divide between the genders. But what I really want to explore on the podcast today is all of that really true? Is Gen Z really struggling more than millennials did at the same age, or even boomers and Gen X? For reference, for everybody who's listening, Gen Zers are people who were born between 1997 and 2012. So that means they're right now anywhere between 14 and 29 years old, which also makes me feel incredibly old because people born in 1997 are almost 30. Whatever. That's not okay. Luke, you are 20, right? And
Yeah.
Belle, you're 18. Perfect. So you guys are prime Gen Z. So, of course, I always like to start our episodes with a few stats to put the conversations into a little bit of perspective. So here's what I found out about Gen Z while I was doing some research for the episode. Right now, anywhere between 48% and 56% of Gen Zers report that they are single. But a good percentage of those, about 44%, according to a Hinge study, say that they have little to no dating experience. And when you read the headlines, that sounds like it's a big deal. But honestly, given how young Gen Z is, that kind of doesn't surprise me. That feels maybe a bit on par with other generations around the same age range. But they also report being really scared of rejection and being really afraid of seeming cringe. So 56% of Gen Zers in that same Hinge studies say that they haven't approached someone for a date simply because they were afraid of rejection. And that, when you read the headlines, makes Gen Z sound really scary and sad, to be honest. But I think those numbers probably really wouldn't have been different if you asked me or Meredith or millennials, those questions when we were the same age. And if you look at it from a different angle, it almost sounds like Gen Z is just being more cautious and more thoughtful when it comes to dating. So another study from the Match Group, which owns Match.com and Tinder and all of those other dating sites, says that 80% of Gen Z believe that they are going to find true love, but only 55% say they're actually ready to be in a relationship. And 75% say they're just not in a hurry to find a partner. Instead, they really want to feel like they're ready to be in a relationship. They want to set healthy boundaries, be comfortable being alone. They want to feel happy without a partner before committing to a relationship. All of those things sound pretty healthy to me. So here's the question. Is Gen Z socially stunted? Are you just more thoughtful or cautious than previous generations? Or is it really somewhere in between? So Luke and Belle, I'm going to start with you guys. What's your take? Thinking about your friends and the people you know, do you think Gen Z is struggling more than other generations have in the past when it comes to dating?
I'll take it first. I don't think we're struggling more per se. I do believe that the struggle is very different, but I would put it at the same level. As far as the differences in that struggling, communication is a big one. Being unable to form personal relationships in person. At least I've noticed it's a lot easier over the phone through text, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever, what have you.
So what do you think, like, what happens when you're in person with someone? Does it just feel awkward? Let's say you've been texting someone for a long time and then all of a sudden you're in person. What's happening?
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier to be bolder over text. You kind of you reread everything you send twice at least, and then you hit send. Whereas in person, if you slip up, it's like, oh, that's just out there now. There's no editing that.
Yeah. Are these people that you only met online and then you meet in person later? Or is it just, this is somebody I know in real life, but I'm just better at having a relationship with them over text?
I'll take this one. Typically, and so same with like most of my friends, we typically tend to lean more towards meeting in person and then developing a texting relationship, exactly for the purposes that my brother just mentioned, where you can have so much chemistry over text and then in person it can completely fall flat and everything that you thought was going to be happening just won't. Like creates kind of this different dynamic of almost more instability during, obviously, any talking stage is going to be pretty unstable. You never really know what's going on, but it creates just an entire another layer to not knowing what's happening.
It creates another layer to not knowing what's happening because you're texting and you don't get sort of the social cues behind it, is what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think that's for everyone. What I think is interesting, though, is that you guys are meeting in person, but then defaulting to text for a relationship. And then the difference for millennials was that we would meet somebody online. And so then it was like, okay, I had to meet them in person to figure out if I had chemistry. But now it's, okay, I know you in person, but we have awesome text chemistry, but we have no real in-person chemistry.
Yeah. I think that's exactly right. Like, you can meet them in person, have a fantastic time, and then go to text and even a better time. And then it's transitioning back from the text to in person. That is, now you're expected to do the exact same thing you have been doing over text, which is just not the case.
So what are some of the things that like aren't happening in real life? Like you're talking about being bolder on text. Like I was just trying to figure out what isn't translating.
Doesn't want to take that one?
They were your words, so I think I'm going to hand that one to you.
All
Do you know, I almost just busted out like the dick pic. That's not translating. But I stopped that I was like, ooh, should I say it? But that's what I was thinking.
I feel like
but more
I'm
just
like,
to be silly.
I don't know. I mean,
Not to be a
maybe
real
some of
picture.
that.
You know, the dick pic doesn't have to be the real one. They could be overpromising, and you won't know that till you're in person. See?
Well, there's that.
Sorry.
But honestly, like if you met somebody in real life already, why are you sending a fake dick pic? You send that when you don't think you're going to meet someone in person. Not to mention, I mean, I think we've had, I've had the conversation about the dick pic on other episodes, not with you, Meredith. Like, I just don't understand the point behind it. I don't get it.
Why would
It's
you
a
send it to someone
bizarre-
you're not going to hook up with? That's supposed to be enticing.
Is it?
Right, Luke? Isn't it? That's the point of
Don't
it.
ask me
I was
that.
like,
I'm not saying I find it enticing, but I'm assuming that's the point.
I don't feel like, I'm going to be honest, Luke, I don't know that Gen Z is a dick pic generation. I feel
Are you
like,
guys not?
I don't feel
I don't
like,
believe so. Not to my knowledge.
I'm going to go with no.
I feel like
I think most people find the photo repulsive at this point.
Yes. I'm a waist up kind of people.
yeah. And honestly, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong. And again, we're not trying to go into what you personally do or don't. But like, I also feel like Gen Z is probably way more cautious about sending those kinds of photos because
Yes.
of where they'd end up. Like there wasn't as much of the digital sharing in that sense. I mean, other than what, Meredith and I used to send to each other. But like you and Sarah and I would share some things we got back in the day.
Oh, from somebody else's picture.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not sending
was
you
like-
photos of myself.
That's why I was confused face. I'm like, I don't think I was there.
I mean,
Yeah.
no.
I've never asked for a dick pic, but
I've
sure
seen
think
enough
I've
of you
gotten
two
one.
in person. I don't need photos of it. So I'm good. But no, it just seems like there's just a lot more caution from the younger generation in terms of sending those kinds of photos. So that's why it seems like wouldn't necessarily just be a sexually bolder thing. Because I feel like you can get over that in person. It feels like there's something else that isn't translating that honestly I'm just kind of not getting.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
I
I have to
mean-
go back to this 1 second. Sorry. But they're not a dick pic group. They're Snapchat. Snapchat goes away. So
You can
technically-
screenshot
Oh, God.
Snapchat.
No. People send nasty shit on Snapchat.
They do send nasty shit on Snapchat, but you can still screenshot it. So it's not like it
Luke,
goes
you know
away.
this is true.
It does tell you when other people screenshot it, though. So at least
Yeah.
They do.
the sender
you know.
knows.
Yeah. You can
Seeing-
still send nasty shit, but I still think that there is less nasty shit going on. They talk about how Gen Z isn't having as much sex as other generations were. So there's something else that's not translating here.
I think it's mainly we have so much more access to the horror stories of like
Mhm.
what other people have been through. Like every time you scroll social media, you're just landing on another story of something that went awfully wrong. So I think that just we have more access to knowledge, which causes us to be a lot more cautious.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I think that's a good thing.
No, me too.
I feel like some of the things that we hear about Gen Z, it makes it sound like what they are doing is negative. I personally don't see that. I think it's just being a little bit more reserved, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But it goes back to my original question before Meredith got distracted by dicks. Do you have examples of when it just hasn't translated? What is happening when you finally see that person again and you're like, oh, we had this awesome text and we met in real life before and it seemed great and now it's just a flop?
I think the main thing is that texts can be read so many different ways. So you're always reading a text from what you're hoping it means and like what you think that it means, which is obviously going to be more optimistic than pessimistic. And because of that, like everything they say, you're more likely to think it means a certain thing. But in person, you can't really convince yourself of that. So the same chemistry you had was mainly just like kind of in your head.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So it's like they seem like a better, different, happier person. And then you're finding out that they're really kind of not. Let's kind of move on from this. So, Belle, I want to know from your point of view, what are the biggest issues for girls trying to date today? Like, what are the frustrations that you guys have when you talk to you and your friends?
A very big like point for a lot of my friends is that it kind of goes back to what we were just saying, but like guys are less bold because they're afraid of rejection. Like that is just the reason behind it. And so for them, they don't want to be making every move, but also if the guy's afraid of rejection, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
So I think that's one point where it's like, that's really hard. And then the second point is like, you never really know anybody's intentions, especially if you're mainly talking over text.
Yeah.
Like you can't really know where they want things to go until you meet them in person. And at that point, if you're already invested yourself in this, trying to figure it out once you're invested is really hard. So like those are the things that like me and my friends have experienced. My friends have definitely had a little bit more experience with guys having a fear of rejection or them having to like kind of like completely move the relationship along like by themselves.
Well, so move the relationship in terms of like asking the guys out on dates or like saying, where are we? What are we? What are we doing?
Yeah. Like a guy is not going, in our experience, a guy is not going to put a label on it unless you ask him to. And now my brother's laughing.
Luke, share your perspective on this.
Yeah, no, definitely the fear of rejection. Even if like I'll throw myself under the bus. I was talking to a girl for what was it, about 7 months? Just about 7 months before we became official. Like that is excessively long. And like at like the 4-month mark of talking, it's like very clear that if I asked her out, she would have said yes. But it was still like that underwhelming, like, is it like 100%? Am I 100% able to commit to this at this time?
Well, so what's preventing you though to say I am able to commit to this? Is it able? Is it want? Like just being truthful? Are you sort of like what's the barrier?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I think I thought I wanted a relationship. I thought I was where I needed to be, but I also like wanted to work more. I wanted to be more committed to working on myself. And so I was just very hesitant to allow myself to get to that point.
Now, Meredith feels different than when we were young, where it was really just, I can find someone better was typically the answer.
I mean, I think I had fear of rejection for sure. But I think for myself, I can say, I think the fear of rejection was more like first date, second date. Like if you're feeling it, then things are going to progress and it will fizzle out or it won't.
Yeah.
I think for me, rejection felt more in the very beginning, like that getting to know phase. Cause either like I'm interested in pursuing more and you're really not. Like you're like, hey, we're great friends. And you're like, oh, that sucks. Or it naturally progresses into something more.
Yeah.
I guess.
Belle, what do you think on that?
A lot of everything, to be honest. I think it's important to note that there are definitely guys that are not like this. I know plenty of people that have had many of experiences where they're not like this, but for a lot of the things, there's a new term considered a situationship, which a lot of guys are very happy in that stage, where it's like they're getting the experience of a girlfriend, like they're going on dates, they're going out, but like they don't have to meet the parents. Like they get the full commitment and like joys of being in a relationship. And girls like it too. Like I will say, I think that guys tend to like it more from like my experience, but obviously I'm biased. So I think that just kind of the notion of like, if they don't need to commit, a lot of guys won't want to.
So wait, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
What's the difference between just dating, but you don't have to bring every person home?
So dating now, the term is very specifically used for like official label, and like that term now means like you guys have been together, like officially labeled. It entails more than a situationship. But a situationship entails more than a talking stage. There's now
Okay.
many levels.
So let's just hook it up.
It sounds like a
Hooking up
situationship is
falls
hooking
under a
up.
situationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying that included dates and everything.
It can. I think a situationship is like if you have like a work event, you need and you like everybody else to bring their significant other, and you just need that one person. It's like you can bring them, and it wouldn't be weird, but it's not like you're excited to bring them.
It's out of convenience.
Yeah.
Oh, this is like your plan B.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
your
your plan
filler.
B.
Or your filler.
It's your backup
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's your backup. Yeah. But I think the question is like, are most people in situationships thinking that it's going to turn into a relationship?
It really depends on the situation. Like I have seen my friends go through multiple situationships, and some of them progressed into relationships, long-term happy relationships, and some of them fizzled out, and like my friends were heartbroken because they thought that I was going somewhere. But also I've had friends that have kept it in the situationship side and just been like, I don't want it to progress past this point.
Yeah.
So, and that's what makes it so complicated, is that there are so many different, like it really depends on the people. Like there's no like clean cut way to go about it.
Okay. So talk me through the stages. You've got a talking stage. And then are you always going to a situationship, or are you
Not
skipping
always.
this? Help me understand what the progress is of a relationship nowadays.
Luke, do you want to chime in?
I would, except I get confused right between talking and relationship. So there's just kind of a huge gap normally.
Wait, but I have a question. Are you meeting them like online, or are you meeting them in person? That's different progressions, right?
Yeah,
No?
it does.
It progresses differently.
Yeah. So I'd say if you're meeting in person, typically like you guys meet, you guys start to get to know each other, you guys start flirting, and then you start talking. Whereas online, typically because people are okay with being a little bit more out there and a little bit more bold, I want to say that it kind of like gets sprung forward into the talking stage.
Okay.
And then from the talking stage, one of two things can happen. If the two people really do love commitment and they know what they want, and they typically tend to go from talking to dating. If people are more hesitant, they tend to go from talking to a situationship. And that's where things kind of get a little bit gray, because from there, you can decide at any point whether or not it's something that you want for the future, but you're already committing to this person.
Okay. So how do you actually know when you're in a relationship? What is the line of demarcation there? Is it not a relationship until you've had a conversation and you're like, we're in a relationship? Or okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And is that
it
like
is.
well understood by everyone? Or is it like people saying, well, our situationship was basically a relationship, and you know,
Unfortunately, I do believe it's falls under that muddy water where
Okay.
one person in the situationship thinks that it's a relationship, the other thinks that's just like still like opening. It's open almost, and that never ends well for anybody. But
So
yeah, I think
I mean,
at that point, it's just you gotta sit down, have a conversation, and officially just ask the question.
but so to Belle's point earlier, are the girls initiating that conversation, or are the guys initiating that conversation? Like, it sounds like the girls have to be like, what are we? Are we something? And the guys are like, yeah, I guess we are. Or is it
The
like,
girls are saying, we're dating. I'm ending it. I'm saying it.
yeah.
Like, are we in charge?
Like,
Or are we being told?
From my experience, it is very much them bringing up the conversation, but them not
Because I feel
saying
like
we're
I'm told
dating.
that
It
I'm
is
dating someone.
a conversation that they bring up, and then I ask the question, or the guy asks the question.
Should they make you say it? Will you be my girlfriend?
100%.
It's
All
not
right.
just like, this is it. We're together. Done.
there's no just like understanding. That's interesting. So that I actually think is different. I think it's more of we just kind of got there and we were like, so we're like in this, right? And it's like,
John
yeah,
Messier was the last person who asked if I'd be his girlfriend.
that was what, in like the 10th grade?
10th grade that I can think of. I don't think anyone else has been like, will you be my girlfriend? No, I don't think so.
No, I mean, when you were with JB, it was just like you kind of showed up one day and we were like, oh, she's dating the bald kid. And that
I
was,
know.
that
That was
was what
Brian's
we were
fault too.
That was Brian's fault. And then you broke up with the bald kid and you were back with Brian. And then we were all like, really? We went through 7 years of the bald kid for you to end up back with the guy that you were with before the bald kid? So, like,
Well,
how
and
did
I'll
that
tell
happen?
you, Brian put an ultimatum on me. If we weren't going to like really try and be serious, then we couldn't talk anymore.
Oh, all right. So
Because
Brian brought it
I
up.
wanted to keep it more casual.
Okay.
And he was like, after 2-3 months of it, he's like, nope. He's like, we have to give this a real try, or I can't keep doing this with you. Because we kept going back and forth.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, you don't understand. If I get back together seriously with Brian, I'm going to marry him and it's going to be over for me. This is it. Like, I know I'm just going to marry him. And then it was like 10 months later, we were engaged.
I
I
don't know why
laughed
that
and
was a sad thing, though.
No, it wasn't. No, but I'm saying, like, I knew once I got serious with him, it would be done. Like, we would get engaged, we'd be married.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, do I never want to go on another date again? And then obviously, husband. So I had to make sure I was ready.
Actually,
Okay, so-
building on that, I think a lot of people now are, at least from what I've seen I'm going to say a couple of years ago, was always, oh, you got a date to marry. And recently, in the last 8 or so months, I've seen a lot more of, you can't just immediately decide to date to marry. Like, you got to get experience and find out what works for you dating. But I think for a while, people were just like, they were in the situationships because they weren't ready to commit to dating for marriage.
Well, so do you think then Gen Z is like, I want to have a situationship and then have one real relationship and assume that that relationship is going to be the person I marry? Is that the expectation?
I think that would be a fair expectation. I think most people expect to find their, I mean, you brought up the stat earlier, right? It was like 80% think that they're going to find their true love. I think of that 80%, at least 50% of those people are like, it's going to be my immediate next girlfriend or boyfriend. It's going to be my immediate next significant other.
So at what age do you think most Gen Zers think they're going to get married?
I can
wanna
speak
get
for
married?
myself. I would like to be married by 25. My older sister is also Gen Z, and she will be married at, she's getting married before her birthday,
24.
so 24.
Wow.
So
I think from what I've noticed, I've seen a lot of what Luke just mentioned of like the date to date. That's not how a lot of me and my friends go about it. Just, it's not the people we are. But I will say I've definitely seen more of, I think, and this might be optimistic, I think that a lot of people just want to figure out who they are so that they can be the best versions of themselves for their significant other, like the person that they're going to marry. I think that they just want to know as much as they can so that when they're in that relationship, it has, like, in that relationship that they choose, when they finally choose one, it has the ability to make it in the long haul.
No, that makes complete sense. And again, I think is a more rational view and a better view than I think we had in our generation. When you say the people want to be married at 25, I don't know that we were ever like that. I think we were sort of like, maybe early 30s. We'll figure it out as we go. But I'm curious, what do you think has been that shift of why Gen Z is looking to get married a little bit younger?
Well, I think that honestly, just over generations, it's always been shifting back and forth. Like, I think when you look at our grandparents, they were getting married a lot younger, and then it got pushed kind of up, like, as to where people were getting married, and then it got pushed back and then up. And like, I think that it's just a constantly changing dynamic. I will say, me and Luke have a very similar view on how young we want to get married, but a lot of my friends disagree. A lot of my friends do want to be in like their late 20s. That is they're very much of the mind that they want to fully and completely know who they are, know what their life looks like before starting to build something with someone else.
I think they're both. It was like whatever works for you. When you find your person.
I think everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
I used to want to be
reason-
engaged by 24, married by 26, and first baby by 28.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason that I want to get married decently young is because I want kids so damn bad. Like, I would love kids right now. Like, not right now. Right now is a bitter.
Yeah.
But I would love. Like,
Slow your roll there,
I
Luke.
want to start a family by
That's
27. Would be ideal. Like, that's what I would want.
Me and Luke, we were very lucky. We were raised by amazing parents, and we have the most amazing set of siblings. That family is probably the most important thing to both of us, which is why we have such a similar view as to when we want to get married and when we want to have kids. Just because we were raised in such a loving household that giving that to children would be the best gift that we could ever give.
That is like so sweet.
That is
Don't
really
tell my
cute.
parents I said that.
Also, in your
we're going to
Put it on
send
the
them that
internet.
clip.
It's out there.
So, no, your parents are awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super close with my parents. I'm super close with my siblings. I live at home. Even though I'm studying, I did not move out because I I grew up in a very, very healthy household. And I think that that honestly plays such a big role in how I date and how I go about life, just because I've watched all these different types of relationships, whether they be my siblings, like romantic relationships versus platonic relationships, plus my parents' relationship, Brian and Meredith's relationship. Like I've watched all of these beautiful relationships, and like it very much like it gives a very different perspective to me when it comes to dating and what I want life to look like.
Let's talk. Oh, go ahead. I know it's
No,
so
I just
sweet.
know.
Meredith, your
Yeah,
face
I-
when she said Brian and Meredith's relationship, you were terrified.
That's my point.
Okay, well, let's kind of go back to the terminology there for a second. So we talked about situationships because I hear a lot of different terminology that's happening with Gen Z right now. And Meredith and I were talking about this, I think before we started the session, like, is it that anything has changed or you guys are just naming a lot more things than we named when we were younger? So I've heard breadcrumbing, orbiting, textationship, dry texting. Like, what are these things and how are they different? Because honestly, like, I was Urban Dictionarying and trying to figure out what they all meant, and they all kind of sound like the same thing. So I don't know who wants to take it. Like, what
Yeah.
are these terms?
I'll be honest. Me and Belle, we were going over the packet, and we were like sitting in the kitchen. We were like, I have no what's breadcrumb. Like I had no idea what breadcrumb
okay.
was. But
I was like-
I did make the assumption that it was leading on.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is like going back to that difficult to talk in person. It's like you can talk a big game over text, and all of a sudden you meet up in person. It's like, nope, not happening. And then the other one, orbiting after that, is I believe Belle described it as like just stalking for the most part. Is I'm pretty sure that's how it came across on Urban Dictionary. It was
I
just
love it.
like you're not stalking, but like you're keeping up to date on everything they post, whether it be on Instagram, Snap, their stories.
I love a good stalking.
There's nothing wrong with Insta stalking. I Insta stalk people. There's nothing
Love
wrong
stalking. It's like
with that. I
my
know
favorite
people
thing to do.
who stalk me. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I'm
I
very
want a
much.
stalker.
I'll start stalking you, Meredith.
Can you? That make me feel
Yeah.
good.
Yes, I
Like
got you.
a post the old one and then like shit and then unlike it.
Yeah. I'll scroll down to like 2016 or something.
Absolutely.
So I want to understand the difference between soft launching someone and hard launching on social media. It's like, I can understand hard launch it. I'm guessing I've got a photo up and it's like, it's our anniversary or whatever it is that you're putting up there and like you're hard launching someone. How are you soft launching a person on social media?
I don't know if Luke knows the answer to this question, so I'm going to take it.
Are you just
Yeah,
a hard
no,
launcher, Luke? Is that it?
No, I just don't post.
He just doesn't understand many things surrounding social media. He's a
Oh,
bit of
okay.
an old man that way.
Oh, I love it. All right.
Well, he can't get in trouble if he doesn't post it.
You can't get, and I don't know that it's that much of an old
No,
man.
actually,
Like,
turns out you can get in trouble for not posting. You
Okay.
can totally,
Yes,
Okay.
totally
that
get in
is also
trouble.
true.
can we go there for a sec? How do you get in trouble for not posting?
Because then they tend to think that you're hiding them, and like you don't want
Oh.
other people that
Ooh.
follow you to necessarily
Why don't
know.
you want everyone to know?
I just don't post. Like I just don't think of it because like in
You
my
should
mind,
share it with everyone.
I'm not worried about what other people think. But
Well, so
I will say for this generation, not caring what other people think, not a common thing to have. I think most people
Yeah.
are worried about their public opinions.
but so here's my question. Do you just like never post at all? Or are you just not posting relationship stuff?
I post twice a year on Instagram, maybe.
All right.
I feel
So
like
it's
you
just- it's-
post over the summer,
Yeah, over the summer.
like the end.
That was the one post
That's it.
last year. That was it. No,
So
I
then I
posted
don't feel
Cancun earlier in the year.
Or like a New York trip or something.
I had a New York trip up there for a while. It's gone now.
See? I
But
stalk
I
you.
also delete posts all the time. So
But so I don't feel like you should get in trouble for that then. If you were posting all of the time and just not posting that person, then yeah, you should get in trouble for that. But if you're just not somebody who posts, I don't know why. I mean, I don't. Mel,
in
maybe you
trouble-
can
There's a
explain.
lot
I
of
don't know
trouble's
how
the
you
pressure.
get
right
it.
word. In trouble wouldn't be the right word. It was it bothered them, but I didn't really necessarily get in trouble for it. They were
Okay.
just curious and like bothered as to why I didn't.
There's a lot of pressure with social media that like the important things in your life go on it.
Mhm.
So if this person really is as important to you as they say, it's kind of hard to believe that if they're posting all these other things. Like Luke has a tendency to post the results of 49ers games. So like
Oh, that is
if
true.
that's important enough to post, isn't his
That
girlfriend
is
important enough
that
to
is
post?
true.
Okay.
But he's
Not
not
saying that was the
sharing a
exact
part of
situation.
himself. He's just sharing something he likes. So he's just keeping
So-
his neutral.
But like that experience is kind of like across the board kind of what happens is like if X, Y, and Z is important enough to you that it's up there, why am I not? Is kind of like the tension point.
And so is it the type of thing where like the guys aren't posting as much and the girls are, or the girls aren't posting as much and the guys are? Like what's the...
It's everything. I think for me personally and for my friends, it's mainly the guys that aren't posting. But also I've had my guy friends come up to me and be like, I just don't know why she isn't posting. He'll post her and then she won't post him or won't repost his post, which is a big thing too. Things like that. Or I think that there's just a lot of pressure on social media and like how everybody goes about it is vastly different between person to person. And I think that if you're with somebody that doesn't go about it quite the same way as you do, it's very hard to understand why they view it a certain way.
Well, so what's the etiquette? Like, what are the expectations? Just like basic expectations that people have. Like, if I post, you're going to repost, or like, what are some of the other things that people are expecting there?
Yeah. So like, if I post, you're going to repost, you're going to like it, you're going to comment. Like, just like general interaction with it is the expectation, like the overall expectation. I want to say for the mass majority of people, that would be if you're in a serious relationship, you'd expect them to be active on your social media.
Okay.
I think a comment is not a necessity. Liking the post, necessity. Leaving a comment is like, yeah.
Are you commenting on what you reposted or what they reposted? Is that
when I say repost, I mean, say Luke posted a photo of our family, I would then put that on my Instagram story.
Yeah.
And so your person should have to comment on that, on yours?
Should comment on my original post, I believe.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of work.
That does
I'm
feel
with
like
It's
you, Mary.
confusing.
I'm
It really
with
is.
you.
I feel like a like
I'm
should be
showing
enough.
you I like it because I'm reposting.
Thank you.
That
But-
shouldn't that?
Unless the one thing I would say is like if they are posting a photo of the two of you or a selfie or just like a photo of themselves, there may be an obligation from the guy's side to be like, you look hot, you look beautiful, you look, or like whatever. But I don't know. That also feels kind of performative. And I don't know that that's...
Yeah, I think that I don't do that, but I do think that it would be like you said, performative. And I think that it means generally less saying it so that everybody can see it. Whereas if I just texted them separately and said that, I think that too, from my opinion, that would mean more.
Well,
I think
No,
that
go
it would
ahead.
definitely mean more if you texted them separately. I mean, from what I've seen and from what my friends have experienced, I think that it also means a lot to people, like Luke said earlier, it means a lot to people how they're perceived on social media. So if you're, say, like I had a boyfriend, if he wasn't commenting on my post, other people would notice and find that weird.
No, I
Because
agree with that.
everybody's a
I can see that.
stalker. Everybody's a stalker.
but what about if he's just liking your posts? Like, is that okay?
For me personally, yeah.
Okay.
Like that's enough for me, but I do know a lot of people where that just it makes them feel unimportant that they couldn't take more time to interact with it.
I think I'm somewhere in the middle, right? Like maybe you don't have to comment hot, cutie, whatever on every single one, but like maybe every other or every few. Like don't never comment, but you don't
Yeah.
have to like.
I
use the
think the
same
main thing for
three-liner.
girls is that my girlfriends will always comment on my posts. My friends will always comment on my posts. So if my friends are interacting more with me than my boyfriend is, that looks a little funky.
But you're interacting for an audience though, versus interacting face to face. I mean, it's very nice to let everyone know how much he loves you or thinks you're cute, but it's most important he says it to you.
Like how much of this is about, I really want to be with you versus I want other people to know I have a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
Well, that's just it, is that that's such a big thing in Gen Z dating, which I don't necessarily think is good for Gen Z dating because then you're just trying to live up to everybody else's expectations.
All right. I want to talk then about some deal breakers. So I am curious, one, do deal breakers still exist? Does that term still exist for Gen Z? Is that a thing or is that like a millennial? Okay, so it still exists. I'm seeing head nods. So I'm going to start with Luke. Luke, what are the deal breakers that you and your friends have when it comes to dating?
I think for the most part, it's poor communication skills. At least that's one of mine. And then as far as that goes, I have some pet peeves, but I wouldn't say like deal breakers.
All right, pet peeves.
Pet peeves.
I
what-
was thinking you were going to mean like hair on the toes.
That's kind of what I
No.
was going for, but again, I feel like this
Hygiene's a big
generation
one.
is way deeper than we were.
laughing. I'm like,
Hygiene's
We'll
a big
get to-
one.
a size 8 foot. Like,
But you know what? That might be an
Sorry.
ick. So we'll get to
That
icks
is
in
an
a
ick.
second. Yeah, we'll
Oh,
get to
yeah,
icks
yeah.
in a second.
Dying. Sorry.
I think deal breakers
You?
is a deal breaker definitely that I've heard of is like poor family values.
Okay.
You know, like a lot of people, obviously me and Belle have grown up in a big family. And I believe we both want kids and whatnot, but a lot of people are like, I don't need kids. Like they just don't want them. For me, that's an absolute deal breaker because I very much want kids.
Yeah, me and Luke are on the same page there. There are very few things that I won't compromise on. The two big ones are marriage and kids. Like, I'm 18. I'm not getting married anytime soon. But if I'm talking to somebody or if I'm in a relationship with somebody, we need to have that same end goal. Even if we don't get there, if I'm in this relationship for 5 years, for me to have spent 5 years with this person and then them say that they don't want that would be absolutely soul crushing. So I think that like family, specifically marriage and kids, are two really, really big ones. Other than that, I don't think I have any deal breakers. I think like there are definitely like I have certain things where I'm less likely to compromise on, but like I'd still pretty much compromise as long as like the other person's compromising too. I wouldn't make sacrifices.
And in your opinion, how quickly are you bringing up that like the goal has to be marriage and kids?
Ridiculously early on. If I scare them off, I scare them off. I don't really care. Because realistically, if I
Okay.
scare them off, that just means that they weren't the right person.
I like
Is
you,
our
Val.
generation just more vain?
I think we are.
Because if you were under 5'10", we weren't dating. Like, I mean, if we have you're like, do we communicate well?
This is
Communicating's
like
great. Can we go on a date first? Like, if you don't make the height requirement, it's not working.
well,
Forget
it's
marriage
so
and children.
it's so
I-
funny, Meredith, because I'm reading all of these studies and like they're basically calling Gen Z the therapy generation, where they're like so into therapy and like, being self-aware, and where we were just like, I'm dancing on a bar. Like, are you
Do you
hot?
guys even go to clubs
No, they don't go to clubs. Clubs aren't a thing anymore, I don't think.
Thursday nights? You met people. You went to the club.
All right. We talked about wanting to get married, wanting to have kids. But Belle, you said that there were other things that you might be willing to compromise on, but that are still important. So what are those?
Those are more like characteristics of the person.
Okay.
Like how I will say a huge one for me at the moment is how they talk about the people around them
Mm.
to me. So like if they're talking about their friends, I'd expect them to speak highly of their friends because why are you hanging out with people if you don't like them? So how they talk about other people is a really big thing. Where I could compromise is like, I understand that there are situations where like you're forced to be friends with this one person because the entire group's friends with them. And like that's just
Yeah.
extremely complicated. So like I think every situation has its like caveat where it's like it makes sense.
Okay, so how they talk about their friends, are there other things?
I mean, they kind of all fall into that same category where it all just boils down to things that would classify them as a good person. If they don't have certain qualities, it's kind of hard to convince yourself that they're a good person because
Yeah.
a good person should have certain qualities.
No, that makes sense.
I also
Um,
feel like how guys treat you in front of his friends, like especially if they're in a big group.
That
of
one's
friends.
big.
Like I just feel
Yeah.
like that's like a tell-all, right? Like I mean, sometimes that's like I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest one.
I read this quote the other day where it was like men gain respect by the woman that they're with, just like seeing the woman, and women gain respect for how their man treats them. So like if a man is treating you super, super well in front of other people, those other people are going to respect you more. And there was like some example that the video that I saw gave, but I think that that's like a really big thing too, is like how they treat you in private, but also in public is like huge.
100%. And I mean, if a guy isn't willing to treat you well in front of his friends, why even bother? Why be with him? Like, because it's just a matter of respect. And if you aren't willing to respect me in front of other people, you obviously aren't going to respect me behind closed doors. And you should be the one standing up for me and, you know, having my back in front of other people. Like, that's the whole point of this, is we're in it together. So that's a big thing. That's huge. Luke, you talked about communication. Are there other deal breakers or like, things you're willing to compromise on? Because Bill said there were things that like weren't deal breakers, but things that were still things she looked for.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, y'all look for similar activities. Like, I'm a very active guy. I need somebody that can be not necessarily as active as I am because that's just not realistic. But I need somebody that just wants to go out and like hang out outside, do other activities that are not just sit around, you know.
So what are you doing? What are your activities?
My activities are like I go to the gym a lot, but outside of that,
Every day of
I
the
love
week.
No, it's 6 days. I think Sunday's my rest day. I didn't go today. But other than that, I like golfing a lot. I like to go bowling. Not like super athletic activities, just like go out and do something.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and I know I was for a long time, was just like, oh, like what are we doing? Like what are we doing tonight? We're just gonna hang out, watch a movie. And it's like, which gets old so fast.
Yeah. You have to be willing to like go and do stuff. And yeah.
But
actually,
doing stuff creates the memory.
well, exactly. And I mean, I guess, Bill, from your perspective, do you find that guys are planning dates? Are they planning activities? Or Luke, are you planning activities when you're dating someone? Or is it you guys are kind of just, yeah, go ahead.
That's definitely a quality that I look for. I personally don't particularly enjoy making decisions. So like when I'm looking for somebody, I'm definitely looking for somebody that will make a plan and kind of like take the lead when it comes to doing things like that. I think it's personally attractive when they are willing to put in the effort and plan something for me that they know that I'll like. Because it also takes knowing me to a certain level to plan a date that I would enjoy. So I feel like I feel like the planning aspect is almost more meaningful than the actual activity.
Luke, do you find that like that guys are making those plans? We talked earlier about sort of like fear of rejection, fear of cringe, all of that. Do you think that guys your age are taking more of that initiative or like kind of don't know where to go with it?
I think we are trying to take that initiative. At least I'm trying to, and I'm finally understanding that like, oh, you just have to do it. Just go through with it. Whatever decision, whatever happens is going to happen regardless. For a long time, I was not a planner. I was just like, tell me where to go and I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
I was not complaining by any means. Like if what we were doing, I didn't appreciate it. I was like, I'll go with it. Right. But yeah, recently I'm trying to be more of the planner because I found that the girls, and Belle, you could correct me if I'm wrong, they love to plan the big events. But if it's not like they do not plan like a weekly date night. They'll plan like the monthly big event.
So tell me more about that. What do you mean like big events?
So I'll take more charge of when I was in my previous relationship. I'd take more charge of like if there was something that I really, really wanted to do that was going to cost more money or take more time, I would plan those. So for example, day trips to New York or Boston, that would be my job. Okay. I would plan those. I would take those bigger, more time consuming events and I'd plan those. But when it came to going out for dinner, that wasn't something that I would personally go in. Like that wasn't something that was on my plate in the relationship.
That makes sense.
I mean, it can be taxing to keep it fresh, but I like to make it a competition. That's what I do. We do. We say like who can plan the best date, and it's a surprise. You don't know until it's happening, and then he gets to have a turn, and then who can plan the best night date, and so that's
who normally wins. Yeah, I figured as much. I tried. I was gonna help Brian out a little bit, but
yeah,
no, I always win. I'm more creative.
Yeah. See, I think if I did that and I always won, I would get mad that I was always winning.
I just like the bragging right.
I would be like, you're obviously not putting in the effort because I am winning all the time. But of course, I'm so competitive. I want to win all the time. So I kind of feel like I'm putting him in a no-win situation. And I don't know that that's fair.
Yeah. Well, he's gotten better. But he assumed that the date had to be like dinner and a show. And I'm like, well, we're going for barbecue and we're going to go shoot guns. And he's like, this is awesome.
You're amazing. We should go on that date. I would go on that date with you, Meredith.
I'll take you.
Let's go. All right, let's go back, talk about the icks. So I am curious what people's icks are.
I've personally never really experienced getting the ick. That's just not typically from what my friends have experienced. It's more of like it doesn't really matter, but like I just can't do it type of thing.
Well, yeah, that's what the ick is. But like, what are some of the icks? Yeah.
One of my friends in particular, she was going out with this guy, kind of seeing where I was going, and she wasn't sure if she really liked him. And then she, word for word, told me this. I didn't like the way he tied his shoe.
How did he tie his shoe? I
guess he like leaned down weird, and then he used like both like the two bunny ears, and she was like, that's not it. She was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So that was the most notable ick that I've ever heard of, just because I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, I could see well, I mean, you guys are still young, but anyone over the age of like 12 using bunny ears to tie their shoes as being unattractive. I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, a few of my other friends have a good number of my friends are quite reserved just as people. So if a guy ever gets overly excited and he shouts, that's a big thing for some of my friends, just because they're very quiet people and they were like, that's just not something they like.
Yeah.
Personally, I think if somebody can get that excited, it's really fun. But
But shouting about what? They're just
like
randomly shouting?
say like a sports game's on and their
Oh.
team scored, something like that, where my friends would, like a good number of my friends really wouldn't like if they shouted. They were like, you'd have to kind of be calmer than that for them. Whereas icks are just so wildly different between different people.
Yeah.
So your
That it's really
friends are
hard to know.
flatlined? There's no like a room for emotion. They're just like flat.
Bella's boring friends.
I'm like, man, can you feel sad? Or can you tell me
Can't say that. My friends are super fun. Personal opinion.
From the
You
ones
just
I've met,
can't get
they are nice to
excited.
talk to, but
You
they
just
are
gotta stay very neutral.
they are very neutral.
The neutral. So is it any shouting, or is it like shouting in certain now I'm curious, because it's like, okay, maybe it's the shouting at a sports game and you're just like not into sports and you don't understand why a guy gets so into it. I could understand that. But is it just, or is it, I just want them, to Meredith's point, like to show emotion?
I think it's mainly just like, I think it's kind of a mixture of the two. I think what it really boils down to is they don't particularly like how excitable they are over, in their minds, insignificant things.
Got it. Okay.
So
I'm not friends with a lot of people that like sports. So
That's fair.
I think not understanding an overreaction to sports is fine because you're not into it. So it doesn't make sense. I thought you were saying they don't like any reaction that is, like exciting or loud. They just like it flat. Or my excitement.
I will say there's like, my friends don't, this isn't from my friends to their credit, but I will say there is an entire category of girls that really do just want completely mysterious man, in which case they don't show emotion and you're just, you never know what they're thinking or what they're feeling. Personally, that sounds awful to me.
Yeah.
But
I mean, especially with Lou talking about wanting communication from everybody. This seems like a bizarre,
the dating scene is so bizarre. It's genuinely, you never know what you're getting. Whoever you talk to is vastly different from each other person. And it can be so vastly different that it literally doesn't sound like you're talking about the same age group.
To add to that as well, when I say I want communication, then Bella's saying that they show no emotion and they are very reserved. I want communication, and I am also that guy that is like, keep everything down deep. Like, I am horrible at it. I'm trying to work on it, obviously, but like, I am bad at showing emotions outside of pure excitement for sports and other.
But don't you think that should build? Like, that should come naturally, organically. Like, you're not expected to show like bare your heart when I just know you. Like, that should come with time.
Luke, don't kill me for saying this. Luke needs a good communicator because he's so bad at it. That's why it's a deal breaker.
No,
if they're both bad at it, it's just going to suck.
You need a woman to tell you what to do. That's what you need.
I think I need somebody that makes me want to communicate. Recently, it's just been a lot of this, like, I'll see a text or something, I'll be like, I'll respond to that later. Like, it's just like, I'll do it later.
I mean, is it a matter of, because I've heard this from some other guys, of not feeling like communicating is safe in your relationship. They're really looking for somebody who makes them feel safe in their ability to communicate, and that what they say isn't going to be misconstrued or taken a different way.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like, if you communicate about how you're really feeling, you don't want that to at any point be used against you or put into a different context around people that you weren't comfortable with those being shared with.
And that's fair. I think that's totally fair. Something I meant to ask earlier but didn't. What are the challenges for guys who are trying to date today? It sounds, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but from what Belle's saying, it sounds like maybe there are just a lot of different kinds of things that women are expecting, and it's tough to tell what kind of women you've got on your hands and like what the expectations are.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest struggles is just trying to be exactly like you see everybody else on social media. You're constantly comparing your relationship and what you have to do to others. And it's just a matter of it's not going to be like that, and you just need to accept that.
Because also with social media, you're only seeing the best parts of the relationship. You're not seeing the ins and outs. You're not
Yeah.
seeing the arguments. Because of course, all couples argue. You're only seeing the absolute best, which is really hard if you're constantly if you're going through a rough patch with your partner, and then all of a sudden you're scrolling through social media and it's always these couples that are so in love and they're so happy with each other, and it just makes you feel so much worse, which then just makes the entire thing so much worse.
Mm-hmm. But those people are faking it. I don't think that those people, again, going back to being performative, like if you were that much in love, you wouldn't have to show it every 5 seconds on Instagram or Snapchat or wherever you are. It's more about just trying to show the world. But so sorry, we got distracted from icks. We talked about Belle and the icks that she and her friends have. Luke, what are the icks you see on the guy's side?
Well, I can speak for myself personally.
Okay.
One is like if we go out to dinner, this is very old school, very much not expected of people nowadays, which I've come to terms with. But like, go out to dinner and you eat with your elbows on the table. I can't do it.
He hates it.
I hate
He hates
elbows
it
on the
so
table.
much.
To the point where like I was sitting next to me, I see her elbows on the table, like I'll nudge her and tell her to take them off the table. Like I can't do it. So that's one from that's from my baba. That's because growing up, it was a smack upside the head
It was every time.
every time.
I'm with you on it, Luke. I am with you there. Are table manners a big thing just in general, or is it just the elbows? Or
An obvious one is like hats. Can't wear a hat at table. Bad luck. For a while, there was like if you had cereal, you had to use a spoon to get the milk out. You couldn't like drink it like a cup, like, out of a
who
bowl.
does that as an adult? People drink it like picking up a bowl, and
I don't eat cereal anymore, but
Yeah, no.
it's that one is like I don't find it an ick. It's just kind of like that just looks weird as a grown person, but it is what it is. Outside of that, basic hygiene. Like if I'm not a huge fan of like armpit hair like at all on women. That might just be me though. Yeah, I saw Meredith's face. I was like, I'm not shaving my armpits. That's not happening.
Meredith's like,
I was waiting.
I'm not shaving.
hey,
mine.
there are guys who trim their armpit hair, and I am for that. I think trimming your armpit hair as
Women.
a guy is definitely appropriate.
We don't need hairy, scary coming out. I agree, but trim is good.
Yeah,
Wait,
I think those are the big ones.
Well, those are for you. Have you, like, guy friends said, do you know if they have any icks?
For the most parts, no. I've had one that like was talking on like, met online, was talking online. He's like not a super tall individual, and the girl just never mentioned her height, and she was 6'3".
Oh,
He's 5'7". It was like, no, that's not gonna work well.
Yeah. Is the height a big deal for your generation? I hear all the time about, like, oh, if he's not 6 feet, if he's not 6 feet. For me, that was never an issue, but I don't know if that's a thing still.
I personally never cared. I never really put too much value in the superficial like that. I just never have. However, for my friends, it has been a really big thing. I have friends on both sides of the spectrum. Like I have friends that won't date above 6 feet, and I have friends that will only date above 6 feet.
Interesting. Why won't they date above 6 feet?
There's a couple of reasons. Some of it's pretty stereotypical. If they're above 6 feet, they think they're better than everybody else, and that's a personality thing. And then there's also, if they're below 6 feet, I have friends that are like 5'9", and if they're below 6 feet, like they can't wear heels. So
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Luke, what are you? Are you 6'1"?
I'm 6'1". Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So from the guy's point of view, at least from my point of view, I don't care how tall they are. If they're taller than me, fantastic. I
D1 kids.
Yeah, they're going to play college basketball. They're doing something. they're going to every 6 a.m. camp we can put them in.
Did you try to get hooked up with that 6'3" girl? Because I'm sure she was very excited about.
I didn't, but I'll text my buddy after this. We'll
Yeah,
see what's going on. But yeah, like I also on the flip side, if they're 5'2", I don't care that way either. Like,
yeah,
for me, it's not a big deal. For some of my friends that are shorter, it is a bigger deal because they have the thought that one was, what is that? It's an 8-inch difference. That is a good amount of difference between 5'7" and 6'3". So, but I mean, he's obviously dated people that are like 5'7", 5'8", so like around his height.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I've definitely been talking online to some people and they're within maybe 45 minutes are like, how tall are you? And I'm like, I don't think it's relevant. I try to avoid it. I don't answer 6'1" because I don't want to give them the satisfaction of like now they can commit to it. It's like before that they were like kind of texting, and then after I tell them, oh, we're 6 feet, they're like, oh, now I can actually try to go.
I would start stalking your pictures if you wouldn't tell me, and then I'd find out.
Well, most of my pictures, I think the only ones on my Instagram, I'm next to Jake, and Jake is 6'4", so I look a bit shorter.
I don't think you know Meredith well enough. Meredith would be calculating the angle
Meredith's
and
finding
doing
a
all
lamp,
of the
finding
geometry to
exact
figure
model. Yeah. She's like, how tall is this model lamp?
I'd
Exactly.
be like, that dad looks about
Compared to the
5'11".
depth perception of the camera.
I would
Exactly. So I want to understand from you guys, how are the people you know meeting people? Are they using apps at all? Are they only meeting in real life? What's the breakdown? How does it work for you guys?
I think for a lot of my friends, if they're meeting people, which most of my friends are actively in college and are actively engineering students, so meeting people's a little low on the priority list. But if they are meeting people, it is definitely in person. None of my friends have ever really been into like the dating app scene. I'm also only 18, so like I only could get on a dating app like 6 months ago.
Fair enough.
But I think from what I've heard and what I've seen, a lot of people aren't using them. They aren't signing up for them, even if they do just turn 18. It's not something that they're really looking to do, because I think there is a big focus on focusing on yourself, making sure that you're the best version of yourself and really building who you are as a person. But also there are so many horror stories that come off of these apps that nobody wants to experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, to add to that, I think I've never had a dating app as well. I prefer to meet people in person. From the people that I've known to have them, they are almost exclusively for hooking up and just finding a quick thing. Not saying that a couple of my friends have made long-term relationships out of them, but most of my friends that are in these long-term have met in person or met originally in person.
Okay, so maybe it's not dating apps, but are you guys meeting people on social media? So it's not exactly a dating app, but you're still meeting online.
Yeah. I think at least for me, it's Snapchat, mutual friends. You add one here and there, and then it kind of goes from there. Outside of that is that's also another one of those confidence things where it's like you've added them, you have to like build up the confidence over text, and then in person you have to break through that and make a move, which is never a fun thing to do in person. Just like you're adding more stress than there needed to be. Whereas if you met in person, then that stress of the initial awkwardness is already gone.
Yeah, I will say, once again, my friends are pretty reserved people, but my friends that do meet people online, whether that's through Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all around, I will say that they definitely have a harder time finding something real than my friends that meet people in person, because online you can have a completely different persona than who you actually are. And Luke mentioned it earlier, but you can like almost choose what you can and can't say. You can retype texts, whereas like in person, you don't have all of that wiggle room. And I think that it's harder when you meet them online for the first time than when you meet them in person for the first time. So I will say, I think that my friends that do meet people online definitely struggle more than my friends that meet people in person.
Yeah, I think if you meet them online, you kind of have that initial where you just start talking. It's a little awkward at the beginning, and then you kind of get past that. But then as soon as you meet a person, you have to go right back to that awkwardness. So you have to do the awkward bit twice, it just adds up.
There's just like too much awkward happening all the time. I feel like awkward is a word I hear a lot from the Gen Zers in my life. It feels like a defining term of a lot of what's going on. Like everything feels awkward. Dating feels awkward. Friendships in some ways feel awkward. Like school even feels awkward. I don't know. I mean, I guess for us, it was similar, but I don't know that we were maybe as vocal about it.
I will say, with the right person, it isn't awkward. From my experience and my friends' experiences, when you're talking to the right person, everything that does feel awkward with everybody else kind of just doesn't feel that way. It does just feel completely natural, and there isn't really nerves around it. And it's pretty rare now because it feels like you're always trying to live up to somebody else or what other people are doing. But when you find somebody that you genuinely just click with, it is extremely obvious. And it's just a sense of clarity that like, it's almost like everything you do is awkward until you find somebody where it really just isn't.
Yeah, I think on top of that, like totally hypothetical situation, if you went out to get coffee with somebody that you expected to be 20, 30 minutes, and then you just end up like literally just talking for 3 hours, like that just happens organically.
Yeah, that just
Yeah.
happens. And that's when you
And
know it's good. That's when you know, like, oh, okay, this person, you know. But
yeah, we'll go.
is it good, Luke?
Uh,
So maybe another misaligned expectations situation or something, or
That's pretty accurate. Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
All right. So one kind of last thing that I want to talk about is kind of gender roles, and something that seems different from what we experienced as millennials is what I'm reading about being the growing political divide between the genders in Gen Z. That, there are a lot of studies out there that have shown Gen Z men are becoming more conservative, whereas Gen Z women are staying or becoming more liberal than millennials have been. So I'm curious to know if you see politics impacting Gen Z at all in your own lives and your friends' lives. Is it a factor as you guys are dating and thinking about, relationships?
I think it's really funny that I answered this question because if you had asked me the same question 2 months ago, I would have answered completely differently.
Oh, okay.
I think that it is definitely a big factor just because it all falls into the category of the goals have to line up. And if you are with somebody and what they want their future to look like and what you want your future to look like are two different things, that's not going to work. Even if it is just conservative versus liberal, but what those really mean is, I think what those boil down to is more important than the labels themselves.
But I'm curious, is it becoming the type of thing where people are saying, oh, you're saying you are a Democrat, you're saying you're a Republican, like, just no, we're not even going to try?
I think that just kind of the way that the country is right now, it's not necessarily that as Gen Z, we're dividing more. It's just the political parties are so divided that we're just feeling the effects of that, which because we're just like the main dating pool and all of that right now, because we make up most of the dating pool, I think that it just affects us more than.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think what I'm curious about is I read one study that said 54% of Gen Z men agree with the statement society would benefit from a return to traditional gender roles. I am wondering what Gen Z's definition of traditional gender roles actually is. Because I feel like if you ask that of a boomer or like a Gen X or a millennial, the answers would probably be somewhat different. And so I'm curious, like, from your guys' perspective, what is a traditional gender role? And like, what do you think are the gender roles that make sense for like Gen Zers moving forward?
I, for one thing, traditional gender roles, I'm not one of those 56 that think of it. I think that where we're at right now is good. Although I've definitely had some friends that are like very, very much like, I want my wife to be a stay at home. I handle all the billing. I handle all the mortgages. I handle everything. Like everything's on his plate. And I'm just like, I want to be well informed as to what the bills are, what the mortgages, but I don't really care if I'm the one handling it.
As for what they mean by traditional gender roles, I'd assume just like the classics, like women staying home, taking care of the home and the children. Like I'd assume that's kind of like women not working is kind of what I would assume it is. I think the reason that we're seeing the push isn't necessarily because we're Gen Z. I think that it's just like the age range we've hit. Because on the flip side, people in their like 40s to 50s, that age group are now going back to the liberal side. They were conservative and now conservatives are shifting liberal and liberals are shifting conservative in Gen Z. So I do think that it's just like a dynamic swap.
So it's not necessarily specific to your generation. It's really just kind of like how the pendulum is swinging and you just happen to be on that side of the pendulum. That makes sense. I mean, I think, and Meredith, I'm curious on your POV. I think I don't know that actually a lot of millennials would disagree with like wanting to be stay at home if that's what you can do, or wanting in some ways to have more traditional gender roles in that way. I think it's more of a reality of that situation. So like Can you actually afford to have that? Probably not. Do you have a partner you can trust enough? And in theory, you should, but in reality, like, do you have a partner that you can like trust enough to feel like you don't need to be involved in those decisions or have your own kind of backup plan in a way?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely stayed home for a while, and there are different times I would have loved to be a stay-at-home mom. But at the same time, I would have gotten bored if I did that forever, probably. But I'm also, what I'm wondering is, are people feeling like both parents are working so many hours and so long, like the absence of parent in the house? So, like, I wouldn't care if I made enough money and Brian had to stay home. I wouldn't care. And just
No.
like vice versa. Like, we don't care who makes the money as long as the money is being made. And I feel like I know a lot of men in our age feel that way too. Like, they're like, we'd be fine to stay home. Like,
I
at
would
this
love
point,
to
but
stay home.
Yeah.
and I know I feel like people say it all the time.
I want to retire tomorrow if possible.
I feel the same way. But yeah, I just think, there were times, they're like lead parent, right? Usually moms are lead, like, and dads are usually at work. But there are times that there are a lot of different families where dad takes a lot of lead and mom's working
Yeah.
different hours. And I have a lot of families that are like that too. So I think that's only beneficial for the home too, to have both parents take lead at different times.
Yeah.
I think it
I-
has changed quite a bit as well with the concept of working from home. Because now a lot of people can just do both.
Yeah.
I honestly think that you mentioned like both parents working so many hours. I honestly think that a huge role played is like this next generation of kids being raised so heavily by technology and like not wanting that, like we're kind of just seeing the repercussions of what that's doing. And they're not even like 13 and under, right? They're not old enough to really tell exactly the long-term effects, but they're being raised with technology as like a pillar in their life. And I think that a lot of wanting a parent home is due to the fact that like if a kid is raised on technology, how much of their like who they are as a person is being built by what they're seeing rather than the values that their parents actually hold.
Well, guys, this has been an awesome conversation. I really appreciate you both coming on the podcast and being so open. I know, it's not easy to come on and share parts of what's happening with you and your friends and all of that. So I really appreciate you taking the time. And hopefully for some of my millennial brethren out there, we understand our Gen Z counterparts a little bit more now. And as always, Meredith and I have perhaps shared a little too much about our histories, but we've gotten to a different phase in life where we are not afraid of being awkward or caring, honestly, what anyone thinks. So thank you guys so much. I hope you all have an awesome day.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. All right.